In today's class, we will be covering the two most important topics in Java. Like one is about string and the other one is about methods. Okay. So how to create a method and how to call them, that is one thing which we do. And the second one is understanding strings in Java. Okay. So first let's start with the method creation. I create again a package. So in the package we say com.easy learn java dot method creation. Okay, in this package I'll write all the classes related to this, method creations. Okay, that we see. The first example that we will look into here is something like a simple class, and we will see how to create methods in that class. Okay, so let me say I have a class called employee. Okay, and for a class the first letter must always be caps. Okay, so finish. So it creates a class declaration for me. So in that class declaration, let me write a method here. Okay, so if I want to write a method, I need to follow a specific structure. And what is the use of a method in a class? A method in a class basically tries to explain certain functionality how that class wants to exhibit. Like if suppose in an employee, I can write a method called calculate salary. So in that calculate salary, I can write my own logic to calculate the employee salary for a monthly basis or a daily basis or an hourly basis or for every 15 days, like that, which means if I want to implement some logic for a specific set of functionalities that the current class can exhibit, then all those functionalities can be written inside a method. Okay, so now let us understand how a method structure looks like before we start writing a method. Okay, till date we saw many methods without knowing that they are the actual methods that we are writing, or without knowing the actual structure. If you see, the main method till date, whatever we are writing in every class is a method, and then the getters and setters that we saw yesterday are also considered as methods. So let's understand a structure of a method. So the structure of a method will be something like this. The first one is like access modifiers. The second one is like return type, and the next one is method name, and the next one is input arguments, and the next method body, and the next one is return statement. Out of this, not everything is always mandatory. The input parameters, this can be like optional. The return statement can be optional. So in which scenario these things are optional or when they are mandatory, we'll try to understand by writing a simple example for a method in Java, how exactly it looks like. Now, in Java, if you notice, there are different access modifiers in Java. One is like, these are all again keywords. Whatever I'm writing at line number 12, they are again keywords with certain predefined meaning for each and every keyword. Public, private, default, protected. And the other thing that everyone needs to understand is there is no keyword called default in Java. Okay, there is a public, private, and protected. There are three access modifiers, and if suppose if you don't write any of these things, it is considered as a default. So understand that default is, there is nothing like a keyword called default in Java, but if you don't mention any access modifier, that is considered as default. Okay, so for now let us restrict our scope to public only. So let us write every method as a public method. Okay, so I will be using the first thing as access modifier, which is nothing but public. Then the return type. Return type
So
means, yeah, please go ahead.
so that default works like public.
No, that's what I'm saying. Okay, let me show you one thing. Let me show a simple example. So main is also a method that we are writing till date. So when I write a main method, what is the access modifier for main method? It is public. If I remove public, this is called as a default access modifier. Now, what is the access modifier for main method? It is nothing but default. Is that clear to everyone now?
Yeah. So sometimes we see like people writing. So instead of you got public class employee, you see like just class employee. I mean, does that make a difference?
Okay. So if you write something called as class employee or public class employee, there are certain differences in these things. Like if you see, I call them as access modifiers. What is meant by access modifiers? They are trying to modify the access of certain class or a variable or a method. The simplest example for now, just restrict the scope to public only. In maybe in the next couple of classes I will explain rest everything, but to make your understanding easy, in yesterday's session when I wrote uh, a variable as default, I can access it outside, but when I made it as private, I'm unable to access the same variable from outside that class, right? Which means I'm restricting the scope. So creating a class like class employee and then creating a class like public class has a lot of difference, but we will see in a step-by-step manner. Okay, so understanding the method, the first thing, I made the access modifier as public. Then the return type. What exactly is the return type meaning? So let us assume that you are in a website where you're trying to buy some movie tickets. So if you're trying to buy a movie ticket saying that okay, there are four people who are coming to the movie, so you enter four and you say next. In the next page or below, it shows like okay, since four people are coming, the cost of each ticket is $10, and it shows an output called the output is 42 or whatever, including the tax and all those things, right? So what exactly is happening in the background? When you click on a button, it calls a method where the method calculates the actual out amount that you need to pay to buy the tickets. So what is that method sending back or giving back to the user? The method is giving back the final amount that the end user needs to pay, right? So in some websites, when you log in, what is the output? It shows like it might show like hello user, welcome to this application or whatever. It means it can show a message. That might be the written statement for that, which means each method means, I'm just giving some random examples for you. Each method can give back specific amount or specific type of data. Okay, so for time being, let us say that I want to give back an int value as output. Okay, so the return type is int, then the method name. The method name can be anything, any random name can be a method name, but there are certain conventions. The first character of the method name must be a small letter, so calculate, and if the method name has multiple words, then the first character of every new word after the first one must be caps. So S is caps, C is small in the calculate, and S is caps, calculate salary. So the first one is access modifier, the second one is a return type, and the third one is the method name and the input arguments. So for now, as I said, the input arguments are optional. I don't want to give any input arguments. So I just create a opening bracket, closing bracket, and then leave it as empty. Then the next thing is the method body. Okay. So the first one you need to understand here is whatever code we are trying to write in this class is enclosed between the curly braces at line number 3 and line number 17. The same way, if you want to write a piece of logic in a method, you need to enclose them in curly braces like this. Okay, so whatever logic you write, you must write in between, not these lines, in between these brackets, opening bracket and closing bracket, and that is considered as the method body. Okay, in the method body, for now, okay, let me do one thing. Instead of int, okay, let me just hold this method for a second. Let me quickly write one more method, public, and the return type I will say void. I will explain you what is meant by void. Okay, and the method name is say hello, and it does not take anything, and this is the method body. And here I'm trying to write in the method body, I'm trying to write some logic that I want to execute. So I want to print hello you, and then the return statement. This is also optional, so I'm not going to write the return statement. So in the syntax that I created in the method that I created at line number 14, there are two things which are made as optional: the input arguments and the return statement, right? So now when I make the input arguments as optional, it means I did not write anything at this location. Okay, now understand the method. Access modifier, the return type, the method name, arguments are optional, so no arguments, then the method body, this is what I want to execute, and then the return statement, that is also optional. So this is how you write a method. So let's write one more method. One more method that I write here is public. Again I want to say void say hello, and to this method okay, sorry. So let's look into one example here now. Let me call this method, okay, let me call this method which is present in an employee class. So now create a class demo, and always remember that without creating an object for a class, you cannot call any of the features present in that class. So what is our main target? The target is to call this method. Okay, the target is to call a method called say hello. Okay, sorry, I just saw Irshad your question. Why can't we write method name in lowercase? Okay, so that's what we did, right? So the method name we started with lowercase, and then the second word, in the second word the first character will be caps, followed by, if it has a third word, again the first character should be caps. That's how it follows. And there is nothing wrong if you say s also caps. Okay, Java will not complain this, like saying that hey, you made a wrong method syntax. It will not start complaining, but whatever we are following are certain coding standards that Java has preferred. Okay, so Irshad, if that answers your question, well and good. If not, you can always go ahead and ask. Okay, okay, that's good. So now our target is to call this method. Where exactly this method is present? The method is present in an employee class. Since the method is present in an employee class, first create an object for an employee class, and with that object you can call say hello method. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll write a main method. In the main method I will create an object for employee emp equal to new employee. So remember that emp is a reference variable of type employee, which is pointing to an employee object in the memory. Okay, so that is the scenario. The next thing I need to say emp So my target is to call a method in emp class, sorry, employee class. So I say emp dot, what is the method name? Say hello. Okay, emp dot say hello. Now before you call this method, everyone, I want everyone of you to understand what exactly I'm trying to write here. When I'm trying to call say hello, the green symbol here shows that the method say hello is public and the method name is say hello, and it has open bracket and close bracket, which means it is not taking anything as input, and void. Void means it will not give back anything as output, and it is from an employee class. That is the meaning, or it, that is the amount of data that it shows here. Like a public method called say hello, which is not expecting any arguments as input, and which is returning back a void, and that method is present in an employee class. So always understand what you are trying to do in Java. Okay, it makes life very easy for you. So what did I do at line number 8? All I did is I tried to say emp dot say hello. Now if I go ahead and run this class, what it will do, the emp dot say hello at line number 8 calls this say hello method and prints hello user for you. I ran that class. So did you notice it prints hello user? Any doubts till this point?
No.
Okay, yeah, I'm coming to that void thing. Okay, that's a good catch, Sandeep. Yeah, I'm coming to that void. So let's say void means the current method will not give back anything. That is the meaning of void. Clear? In the previous example, we thought that okay, if I enter some data and click on a button, it tries to calculate what is the amount that I need to pay and all. But let us assume that not every method gives back some output. Some methods say that hey, I don't give any output back to you. So that is represented by the keyword called void. Void means does not return anything. Okay. Now the next step. Very good. Yeah, the next step. Taking this to the next step. Now I say public void, okay, access modifier return type. Then the method name, I say wish user is the method name, and then this method I will make, or I will pass some input arguments. Okay, I will pass some input arguments, and this is the place where many people get confused. Okay, so just pay a little bit more extra attention here. So I'm saying input arguments. So let me write something here. String name, and this out. Hello name. Okay. So what did I write? Or what is the difference between method at line number 14 and method at line number 18? The 14 does not take any argument as input, but at line number 18 it takes an argument as input. And the first thing that you need to notice here is which user is expecting a string as input. When I say string as input, it means any input of type string can only be accepted by wish user. It cannot accept int, float, double. It cannot accept that. Okay. Now the next thing that I will show here is how to call the wish user method. Okay, so I say emp. So always remember that team, wish user is present in an employee class. So what is your target? You want to invoke, or you want to call this method. How can you call that method? First you need to check the method that I want to call is present in which class. Okay, it is present in employee class. So if I want to call a method in an employee class, first I need to have an object for an employee. So let me see if I have an object. Yes, I have already created an object at line number 7. Since I already have an object, with the help of that object, I can always go ahead and call the method. So I say emp dot, I say wish user. Now again, I'm reiterating something which is very important. Green stands for a public method. This is the access modifier, public method with a name wish user, and it is expecting a string as input. Okay, so the most important thing or the most confused part here is many people see an name here and they get confused. What exactly is that name? So whatever is shown here, name, is nothing but the parameter whatever we pass here. So let me say the parameter name as ABC. Okay, parameter name as ABC. Now if I say fish user, say ABC is being shown. So just understand that ABC or name or whatever is given here is just an argument name. Never ever consider that name. Just forget about that one. All you need to think is, okay, I need to pass an input of type string to this method. Never consider that you need to pass ABC to this method. That's not the way to think. You need to think what is the type of ABC. ABC is expect of type string. So string is what you need to pass as an input to the method, and the method is not giving back anything, so it is void. And in which class the method is present? The method is present in an employee class. Okay, now let me say this, and it is expecting a string, so I pass Raghu. Okay, now before I run this one more thing that I will explain here, the most important thing. Whatever I did at line number 18 to 20 is called as not only 18 to 20 or 14 to 16. Okay, anything. It is called as method declaration. You are declaring a method or you are creating a method. And at line number 11, sorry, at line number 11 or at line number 8, what are you trying to do? Method call or calling a method. Okay, so please be very clear with two things. Are you declaring the method or are you calling the method? When you are declaring the method, okay, you need to tell what is the type of input that my method can accept. And when you are calling a method, you need to tell, okay, since that method is expecting string as input, let me pass string as the input for this method. That is what you need to think. Okay, so I will show a simple example. Tell me how to call that method. I will show a method declaration here. Public void add int num1 comma double num2 comma float num3. So what is that I am trying to do here? I am trying to take three arguments as inputs. One is int, the other one is double, the other one is float. And let me just this out. I will say num1 plus num2 plus num3. Okay, I just want to add all these things and I want to print it. Okay, so the next thing is maybe see here. int num4. Okay, I just want to pass 4 parameters. Okay, always remember that whatever parameters that I am passing here, okay, you can pass all the parameters of same type, you can pass all the parameters of different type, whatever way you want to pass, or whichever way is convenient. Which means that, let us assume that someone says that I want to calculate the salary of an employee by taking the designation, which is a string, and I want to calculate based on the number of days they come, which means I need int and a string for that method. But when someone might say that I will just pass an employee ID, give me the salary, which means that method is taking only int as input. So the type of input that you want to pass can vary. It can be all same or it can be all different. Yeah, go ahead with the question. Okay, so just for your understanding, I am showing num5. Anything. Okay, whatever type of data that you want to pass, you can just pass there. It doesn't matter. Okay, now this is method declaration. Now I want to call this method in demo.java. So when I want to call, I say emp dot what is, okay, yeah, I saw some of the input 1 2.3 3.5 5, yeah, that's good team. Okay, emp dot add, see here, the first one is int, double, float, and int. Never ever consider num1, num2, num3, num4. They are just for meaningful purpose names that we write. Okay, so I say int 1, then the next one is double 4.2, then the next one is float 5.6f for float, and then the next one is int. I say 3. Okay, so this is line number 13 is nothing but a method call. Okay, any doubts or any questions till this point to anyone? Okay, very good team. So the next one, in this context, I would like to extend the same old. Can we use plus instead? Sai, can you be more clear on your question?
No, no. Someone give the example the 1 plus 2.3 plus or something like that. So can you use plus instead of commas to separate the arguments?
Okay, that's a good question. So when I say plus, is this method accepting plus anywhere? The first question. You just see the method syntax and see, is it expecting plus at any location?
No.
So how are each numbers separated from one another? Or not only numbers, how are each arguments separated from one another?
With comma.
Comma separated. So using that plus is not right. So maybe I did not notice that like 1.22 plus and all, but that's not the right thing to call like. Okay,
Yeah.
clear?
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. Now taking this to the next step, all we did is like we saw everything except the last thing, like line number 10, the return statement. Now let's do with the return statement. So here, in which scenarios you will try to return some value to the user. Okay, there are different scenarios. The first one is, or the simplest thing that I can say is, if you want to give back something to the caller. Okay, so who is the caller in this scenario? Till now you wrote 3 methods. Who is calling these methods? If you go back to demo.java, the demo class main method, understand always, the main method is the caller of the methods which are present in the employee.java, which means this is the location. from where all the methods are being called. So now if you want to give back something to the caller, then how would you do that? So till now I said that void means you will not give anything. Okay, now I say public access modifier, then the return type. What is that I want to return? I want to return, suppose, a double value. So I say double multiply, I say int num1 comma int num2. Two numbers I pass, and then I say return. See, line number 10, the return statement is optional. So we never wrote a return statement. We never gave back anything to the caller. But line number 29, I am writing something called as a return, which will give back certain value to the caller. Okay, so I say return num1 into num2, or I can do means sometimes people, maybe not everyone, but in general, when some people are starting with coding and all, they might get confused, or they will think that, do I need to just multiply and immediately write a return statement like line number 30 is what many people ask. So that's not always mandatory. So you can say that double d equal to, so let me make one of these as a double so that I can get a double output. So even if we make it as int and int, not a problem. I say num1 into num2. So where is the output stored? The output is stored in D. Okay. So some val value or something. So now the output of num1 into num2 is stored in val. So I say return val. This is what I write. So either I can write line number 30 and 31 in two statements, or I can cut short it and write in one single shot like line number 33. Okay, so that's what is the difference between these two lines, but both are correct syntactically. So double multiply int and double, and we are returning back some value to the caller. Okay, let's see that. So I want to call this multiply method. So if I want to call the multiply method, all I do is I need an object. Yes, I do have an object called emp dot multiply. So it is a public method called multiply, which is expecting two input arguments of type int and double, and returning back a double value for us. Always remember that this double or whatever is shown here is the return type of this method from the employee class. Okay, so I say I want to multiply 3 and 5. Okay, now line number 8, 11 and 13 are calls to methods which will never give back anything. But line number 15 is giving back something to you. If someone is giving back, you have an option, okay? You have an option to store it somewhere. So what is that you are getting back from the methods? You are getting back an output of type double. So now, can you store the double value in int? Yes or no? Very good, it's no. Why? Because in the previous class we saw something like type casting and type conversion, where you cannot, or the compiler will not allow to store double value into int implicitly. We need to explicitly mention that. So that is wrong. So storing it in int will show an error. Int output equal to, this will throw an error. If you see, or if you hover your mouse on this symbol, it shows that type mismatch cannot convert from double to int. So it cannot convert a double value into int. What is the double value? Because of this method call at line number 15, you will expect an output of type double, and the user is trying to store it in int, which is wrong. So that is an error. So let me just modify it, rectify it. So I say double double output equal to emp dot multiply 3 comma 5. So now I can just always print it. This out, the output is this out, or let me do one thing. The output is, I just want to show you this also, emp dot multiply 5 and 5. Okay, so since this is returning back something that can be given as input to the sysout, so either I can store it in some output and I can print it like this, or I can directly give that statement here. Okay, if I run it, see here the output is 15.0 for line number 17, and for line number 19 it is 25.0, which is nothing but it is a double value which is returning back for you. That's why it is showing dot 0. Okay, clear with everyone, like how you can write a return statement and a return type in a method. Okay, that's good. So one last example in this scenario, I say public string, say good night, string username, return good night. Okay, return good night username. Now all I do is just call it. I will store it, I will just write it in sysout. All I do is emp dot say. All I need to do is every time use something called as control space. See, if I press control space, Eclipse will show that content help for me. If suppose if it is not showing, okay. So say goodnight. Say goodnight is a public method which is expecting a string as input and is giving a string as output, and it is present in an employee class. So I say okay. So now if I go ahead and run it, see goodnight Naveen. So that is what is saying. So here it shows hello Raghu, and here it shows good night Naveen. Like that you can pass in strings and you can print it and you can get output and all these things. Here. Okay. Here. Let's move on to the next topic for the day. That is nothing but trying to understand string. Yeah, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, so like when do we pass these method calling and all this stuff? Like when do we pass and when do we not pass?
Okay, so do you mean to say when will we pass arguments to a method and when we will not pass? Is that the question?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So let us assume that you are trying to log in to a website. So if you are logging into a website as a guest, okay, as a guest, if you are logging in, let us assume that the message which is displayed for you, means not logging in, if you are using a website as a guest, the message that displays on the website is, let us assume that hello guest, welcome to our application. So in that scenario it is not expecting your username, but if suppose if you're logging in as Adip, then what it does is hello Adip, welcome to the application. That is what it says. If Raghu is logging in, it shows hello Raghu, welcome to the application. It means there might be two methods, one which is not even expecting anything as input for guest user so that it can print the common message to everyone, but there might be one more method which is expecting a string as input, which is nothing but it expects the logged in username so that it can build a string and it give it back to you. So two different methods, one is not expecting anything, the other one is expecting something. So that might be one of the scenarios. Clear?
Sort of.
Okay, yeah, that's good. So the next scenario that we will be looking into here is like strings. We'll try to understand the concept of strings, the most important thing. Package com dot. So created a package name. In this I will create a class called demo or test or whatever. The main method. Okay, so in this example we will try to understand how we can create a string in Java and what is a string, and we will try to understand the most important intro question is like what is string immutability. Okay, that is one thing that we will try to understand all these concepts. The first one, let me show you how I can create a string in Java, and then let me explain all the concepts surrounding the string. So I say string s1. Okay, so what is s1? S1 is a reference variable of type string. Okay, and I say Raghu, and one more thing is string s6 equal to new string of Raghu. Okay, so what is s6? S6 is a reference variable of type string which is pointing to a string object Raghu in the memory. Okay, the same concept holds good. So string is never a data type in Java. String is a class in Java. Okay, string is never a data type. String is a class in Java. Okay, so now the next thing, when s1 and s6 are considered as the reference variables of type string, then what is the difference between the way like s1 is created and s6 is created? Let's try to understand each things step by step, and during this concept we will understand the most important we'll try to understand how to answer the most important intro question like string immutability. Okay, so string immutability in general, in interviews people will ask a question like are strings immutable in Java? So what is meant by immutable? Immutable means something which cannot change. Okay, so most of you might have seen this movie like X-Men movie, right? In X-Men you might have heard about a term called mutants, right? The hero or whatever, everyone change, they have different forms, they change into different forms, they take different forms, so they all change from one form to other, so they are called as mutants. An easy way to remember. So mutants means something which changes. Immutable means something which does not change. Okay, and string in Java is considered as immutable. Okay, strings in Java is considered as immutable. So now you might think something like this. So when I say strings in Java are immutable, does that mean that a string cannot be modified, or does that mean that when I say s1 equal to Raghu, the next moment if I try to modify the value s1 to Naveen, is that something wrong? Okay, so whatever I did at line number 9 and line number 10 is good, is correct. So again, one more question you might get. So strings are immutable in Java is what you told. Now immutability means something which will not change is what you told, but line number 9 and line number 10 differs. Like you are trying to modify S1 from Raghu to S1 to Naveen. So is that not mutable? Does that not make string mutable? Might be the question. So let's try to understand what is immutability and how strings attain this immutability. Okay, so this is not mutable thing, this is still immutable. Okay, strings are immutable in Java. Let's try to understand with an example. This is where most of the people try to fail to explain this concept in an interview when people ask this. Okay, so we'll understand with a simple example. So let us assume that this is a memory. So inside memory there will be something called as string pool. Like swimming pool, there is something called as string pool. It contains a pool of strings. Okay, string pool, a pool of strings. Now understand the concept very carefully. So I say string s1 equal to Raghu, I say. So when I say string s1 equal to Raghu, the first thing what happens is this is called as string literal. Okay, so string literal. Now if I declare s1 as Raghu, the first thing what Java does is it tries to create Raghu in the string pool, and before it creates Raghu in string pool, first it checks, hey, is Raghu present in the string pool or not? The answer is no, Raghu is not present in the string pool. So go ahead and create Raghu in the string pool. String pool is nothing but again it is some memory location thing. Like you might have understood, like heap is where objects are created and heap is nothing but a RAM, right? Your random access memory. The same way string pool is again some memory location where all the string literals or the values will be stored. So now since Raghu is not present in the string pool, Raghu will be created for you in the string pool. So when I say Raghu is created in the string pool, let us assume that this Raghu is created at a memory location called as 2000. Okay, this is where Raghu is created. Now at any point of time, if you want to retrieve the value Raghu, with what you can retrieve, using what you can retrieve the value Raghu. What is the answer? Very good. Using S1 you can retrieve Raghu from the memory. So what will S1 contain? S1 contains 2000. Okay, so S1 is a reference variable which will tell where exactly Raghu is present. So S1, what will S1 hold? So if the concept is confusing, stop me team, I will re-explain again. Okay, so what will exactly S1 hold? S1, what is our understanding? S1 is a GPS to go to your friend's house. So into the GPS, what exactly you need to feed? You need to feed the address in the GPS. So what is the GPS here? S1 is the GPS and S1 needs to contain the address. So S1 contains 2000 actually. So using that 2000, you can reach Raghu in the memory. So S1 is pointing to 2000 memory location. Is this clear till this point to everyone? Okay, okay, good. Now
So
let's
so what is 2000
go,
again?
go ahead. Yeah. So 2000 is nothing but a random address location on your string pool where Raghu is being stored. Okay, okay, that's good. Now the next one. S1 is referring to 2000 memory location where Raghu is present. Now someone else comes and they try to create one more string. So they say string s2 equal to Raghu. They say. So what happens in this context is Java first JVM checks, hey, is Raghu present in string pool or not? Is Raghu present in string pool? Yes, Raghu is present in string pool. Since Raghu is present in string pool, it will not create Raghu again in the string pool. It will try to reuse an existing value present in the string pool. So what exactly the JVM does is JVM says that hey, Raghu is already present in the memory at 2000. So S2, all you need to do is just refer to 2000 location. You will get whatever you want. That is what JVM will do. So S2 will now be pointing to 2000 location again. So S2 is also pointing to 2000 location. So S1 and S2 will again point to 2000 location. Now someone else will come and try to say string S3 equal to Raghu. So what will happen in this scenario? Will it create Raghu in the memory? And will S3 be pointing to some different location like 3000, 4000 or something? Or what will S3 contain now? Or where will S3 point to? Very good. S3 now points to 2000 memory location. So the next thing, someone else will come and create something called as string S4. Okay, so S4 equal to Raghu. So what will happen in this scenario? What will S4 point to? New location. Any specific reason why it is new location? Good. So yeah, it's new location. Why? Because if you see Raghu at S4, R is caps. Java is case sensitive. So since Java is case sensitive, it identifies the difference between Raghu with small r and Raghu with caps R. So since Raghu is present in the memory with only small r and Raghu with caps R is not present, what the JVM will do is it will try to assign or it will try to create that Raghu in the memory. So it's something like this. So Raghu will be created for you in the memory, the caps Raghu, and let us assume that that is being created for you at some location. Like 3000. Okay, that is being created at 3000. Now if you notice, S4 will be pointed to 3000 memory location. Okay, I hope till this point it is clear. Next comes the important thing. Maybe it might be so easy for you. You can just simply say this. I say string s5 equal to Naveen, I say. So again, a simple scenario. Naveen will be just created in the memory, and Naveen will be stored at a memory location like 4000. It will store at 4000, and S5 will be pointing to 4000. Here comes the most important concept. Strings are immutable, which means once I create a string that cannot be modified. Let's understand what is that. So I have created S1 equal to Raghu. So now the next statement that I am trying to say here is, can I write S1 equal to Ram? Can I do this? Yes or no? Yes, that is good. So we can make S1 equal to Ram. So the next question you might ask is, hey, are you changing S1? Then is it string mutable? The answer is strings are not mutable. They are still immutable. Now let us try to understand that concept of immutability. So now what happens when I say S1 equal to Ram? The same old concept. Is Ram present in the memory? Or is Ram present in a string pool? No, Ram is not present in the string pool. So the JVM tries to create Ram in the string pool and say that okay, the Ram is being created at some new memory location, and that new memory location, let it be 5000. Okay, now the most important thing. S1, whatever I have created S1 equal to Ram, will now point to 5000 memory location. S1 will no longer point to 2000 memory location now. It is gone. The reference to 2000 is gone. The S1 will be pointing to 5000 location now. The next question to everyone. Am I changing or am I rewriting? Understand my question. Am I rewriting RAM at 2000 location or am I creating RAM at a new memory location? Rewriting or new? What is the answer? So new location, right? So that is immutability, which means I cannot modify a string which is created in the memory. That is the concept. Understand very carefully. I cannot go ahead, erase Raghu, and I cannot write Ram on top of it. But rather, I need to create, or the JVM. When I say I, it's in generally in the JVM. What it does is it will not erase Raghu. It will recreate Ram at a new memory location, and it will point RAM, it will point S1 to that memory location called 5000. So since you are unable to modify a string which is already created in the memory, that is called as immutable. String which is created at a 2000 memory location can never be modified. Okay, that is the concept of string immutability. So before I take some questions, let me complete one more scenario. Okay, oh sorry, I will come back to you, sir. It's not, maybe to answer your question, it is not wasting the memory. If you see, if you create 1000 variables, S1 Raghu, S2 Raghu, S3 Raghu, so on till S1000, if you create some 1000 Raghus, is it creating 1000 objects in the memory or is it creating just one object? It is just creating one object in the memory, and that is being shared across multiple reference variables, which means it is saving a lot of memory for you in this scenario. Clear? So now continuing with this concept, S1 equal to RAM, that's clear. Now I say S3 equal to Naveen is what I told. I write. Now tell me, what will S3 point to? Will S3 be getting a new memory location like 6000, and will S3 be pointing to 6000? Yes or no? So what is the value for S3 now? 4000. Very good. Excellent. So S3 will be pointing to 4000 memory location since it is already present in the memory string pool. So one last time I'm reiterating the statement. String immutability means instead of instead of rewriting on an existing value in the memory, the JVM creates a new memory location, writes the new value in that new memory location if it is not existing in the memory. So any any value which is created in the memory, like, or any, instead of any value, let me say that any string which is created in the memory can never be modified. That is the concept of string immutability. Don't say that S1 equal to Raghu and S1 equal to Naveen is wrong. Don't say that. S1 equal to Raghu means it is pointing to 2000. Now when I say S1 equal to Ram, instead of rewriting at 2000, I'm writing again at, or I'm creating again at 5000, and S1 is pointing to 5000. So since I cannot modify something at 2000 location, that is called as immutable concept. Clear to everyone? Yeah, that's a good question, Shay. So what if we want to call the old memory location? That is what is the question. So let me take that question. So S1, S2, S3. I hope till this point it is clear. S1 and S2, S3 initially are pointing to Raghu. So now S4 is pointing to Caps Raghu and S5 is Naveen. Now S1 and S3 are pointing to Ram and Naveen respectively. Well and good. Now the next question. Is Raghu being pointed to anything else or not? Is by anyone else or not? Yes. S2 is still pointing to Raghu. Why? Because see, S2 is gone, S3 is gone. So S1 and S3 both are gone. But S2 is still pointing to 2000 memory location in the memory, right? Now, if I go back and write a statement like S1 equal to Raghu again, okay, if I write this statement again, I say S1 will again go back and point to 2000 location. Okay, S1 will again go back and point to 2000 memory location. Why? Because at 2000 memory location the value is still present, but that's not the end of the concept. See here. So to 2000 location, how many are pointing to 2000? S2 and S1 are pointing to 2000. Now the next thing that I say here is S5 S5 equal to Ram, something like Ram I told. So what is S5 pointing to? S5 will be pointing to 5000 location. Okay, so Naveen, so S5 will, so this reference is gone. The 4000 reference is gone. So now, is anyone pointing to the memory location 4000 or not in the current scenario? S3, very good. Now, the next thing that I do here is, understand very carefully, S3 equal to Ram I told. So what will S3 point to? $5,000. Very good. Now the next question is, anyone pointing to the 5,000 location, or not 5,000, basically is anyone pointing to Naveen, that is nothing but 4,000 memory location or not? Okay, so the answer is no. That's good. So understand here, when there is an object which is not being used or which is not being referred by anyone in Java, then the Java has internally some process called as the garbage collector. Okay, the garbage collector, what it does is it runs automatically in the background. You need not invoke it. It runs automatically on the background, and it checks if there are any unused objects. If there are unused objects, it collects the unused objects. In the current scenario, 3000 is being pointed by S4, 2000 is being pointed by S1, and 5000 is being pointed by some other variables, but 4000 is never being pointed by anyone else. So the garbage collector comes and removes this 4000 from the memory. Okay, the garbage collector removes 4000 from the memory. So this no longer exists now. Now, if suppose if someone comes back and says and will write something like S3 or S5, anything, S5 equal to Naveen. So now will S5 point to 4000 now? Yes or no? Okay, it's not a may or may not. If the value is garbage collected, S5 will never point to 4000 again. Okay, maybe may or may not in the scenario, like if it is again created at the same memory location, then it might point, but the chances are very negligible. So since 4000 is garbage collected now, what happens is, okay, Naveen is no longer present in the memory string pool. So go ahead and create one more Naveen and then make that address point to S5. Yeah, I got your scenario. So clear? Yeah, Irshad, do you have some question? I cannot hear you basically. Can we call both memory locations in one program, old and new? Okay, can we call both? Uh, so can you elaborate on your question, Shay?
Yeah, Raghu, I just meant to say that can we call both the new and old locations together in one program? Like in this scenario, like S1 as Raghu and same S1 as Ram in one program.
Okay. So when Java tries to run a program, if you write 100 lines of code, and at first line, if you say S1 equal to Raghu, and at 25th line, when you say S1 equal to Ram, by the time 25th line is executed, the S1 equal to Raghu instance is already gone. So it will only have the current instance as Ram at line number 25. So from line number 25, S1 will be Ram. If at line number 77, if you again say S1 equal to Naveen, then the Ram instance will be gone, and S means when I say gone, it's not gone. Actually, S1 will no longer be pointing to Ram. It will be pointing to Naveen from line number 77. That's how it goes. So at any instance, it will have only one value. From line number 1 to 24, Raghu, 25 to 76, Ram, 77 to 100, 77 till it is used, it contains Naveen. That's how it goes. Okay, got it?
Yeah, got it. Well, thank you very much.
Okay, that's good. Okay, now the next scenario. One more concept here. So if I go back to something like the example, I told like string s6 equal to new string of Raghu. This is one more way of creating string in Java. That is what I told, right? So now let me show it here. String s6 equal to new string of Raghu. Raghu. Okay. So what will S6 point to, team? Tell me, everyone. 2000. Okay. 2000. Good. Okay. Anyone else? So very good. That's the wrong answer. Okay. S6 will never ever point to 2000 memory location. Okay. Understand the concept. When I say S1 equal to Raghu, this is considered as string literal, and this is using a new keyword to create an object. Anytime if you see new in Java, it means it is requesting the JVM to say that, hey, get me some value, get me a new memory location for storing the values. So when I say new, it means that it needs to have some new location to store it. And the next concept, when I say new, the concept of string pool will never ever come into picture. String pool only comes into picture when you try to declare variables, string variables as literals like this. Okay, when you say S1 equal to Raghu, Naveen, Ram or something like that, then only the concept of string pool comes into picture. But if you create variables like this, the concept of string pool never comes into picture. So S6 equal to Raghu. So this is a string pool. So out of that string pool, it creates Raghu. So it creates Raghu at some random location. Say it as say that it is creating it at a location called 8000, and here S6 will be pointing to 8000 location. Okay. Now the next scenario. Right. Tell me the answer. Where will S7 point to now? Tell me the answer, everyone. String S7 equal to new string of, where will S7 point to? New location. Very good, team. S7. Let us assume that it can point to some 9000. Maybe just for our random our understanding. I'm just telling that. So if it is creating the value at some location called 9000, then S7 will be pointing to 9000. Now one last scenario. S8 equal to new string of Naveen, Ram or whatever I say. So what will S8 point to? It will not use the concept of string pool. It will just create a new memory location here, and again there at let us assume at 10,000 or something. Okay, so S8 will be pointing to that 10,000 memory location now. Okay, so clear with the concept of strings, and yeah, which way is better? it totally depends. Like if suppose if you want to create a string at a new memory location irrespective of all these things, then you can use a new string. But if you say like, hey, I can reuse all the values that I want to create, then you can say like you can use the string literal format where you say string s1 equal to Raghu and all. Okay, any of the ways that I can do it. Okay, now let's see the same thing with an example. So in the example, what I will do is like I will try to show these strings, how to create them, and I will try to compare these strings and show it as an example. Okay, so string s1 equal to Raghu and string s2 equal to Raghu, string s3 equal to Raghu, string s4 equal to Naveen. Then here I say string literal. I will use string literal. String s6 equal to Raghu and string s7 equal to Raghu. So I have created some variables s1 to s7. Now let me show you how to compare strings. Okay, how to compare strings. String comparison can be done in multiple ways. The first one is like one of the ways is like using equal to operator. So always remember team, like when you say int x equal to 5, it means you are trying to assign a value 5 to x. So equal to is considered as an assignment operator. Here you are assigning a value, but equal to is considered as a a comparison operator. You are trying to compare the output there. Okay, and the next way that you can do here is equals, dot equals. So I will show you this. Dot equals is a method given to you in the string class. So either you can use that dot equals and compare it. Okay, so now uh, one quick question thing, like is everyone familiar? I'm going to explain that maybe in the next class, but for time being when I write that syntax, just let me know if you can understand that or not. Is everyone familiar with simple if condition, like how to write an if condition for checking some values and all in Java? Okay, so Sheikh, like what I will do is like I will just show an example here, but maybe I will try to explain the entire concept of if condition and loops tomorrow in tomorrow's session. Okay, or else if time permits, like we will try to see in today's session, if not tomorrow. Okay, now for comparing, what I do is like I use an if statement or an if condition where I say if means just assume that team, for those of you who are not familiar with this concept, if and else block I will write. If this is true, perform this. If not, perform something else. Okay, that is the condition that I am trying to do. If s1 equal to s2, this out, I will write some value, else this out something else. I will write some statements. But what is our first target? Using equal to equal to. When I say equal to, then it checks whether both the reference variables, like whatever I'm using here, both the reference variables are pointing to same address location or not. If you go back to the example, or see here, what is s1 pointing to? A simple example, s1 is pointing to assume 2000, and s2 will also be pointing to 2000. What is s3 pointing to? S3 will point to some location called 3000. S4 will point to some 4000 location, and S6 will point to some 5000 memory location, and S7 will point to some 6000 memory location. Some random values I gave. Now when I say equal to, it checks whether both the reference variables are pointing to same address location or not. So line number 20, is it true or false, team? Okay, it's true. So if I execute this, it shows true, which means I am pointing this one to the same address location. Okay, so the next thing here is I will say S1 equal to S3, true or false. I want every one of you to answer these things. False. Very good. Why? Because both are pointing to different address locations. So always remember, equal to will check for addresses. Now S1 equal to S6, true or false? False. Oh, 99% right answer, but one wrong answer. Siddharth, what is the answer? True or false? Okay, okay. It's false. Why? Because S1 is pointing to address location 2000 and S6 is pointing to 5000 location. Okay. Now next one. I want to compare S7 and S6. True or false? False. Very good. 100% right answer. Okay. Now the next thing is dot equals. Dot equals compares the values present inside the addresses. Okay. What is equal to comparing? Equal to is comparing the address locations, means addresses basically, but dot equals will compare the actual contents present inside that or inside those memory locations. Okay, so now I say if s1 dot equals, I will explain that dot equals and all slowly, but let's understand this scenario. This out same value, else here I write this out different value. So now what is the output for line number 26? Okay, the output is not Raghu. Since it is the same, S1 and S2 are containing the same thing, the output would be same value. Okay, so now if I execute this, the output would be same value. Okay, well and good. Now the next scenario, when I say S1 comparing to S3, what will be the output? Okay, Sai, what is the output, Sai? S1 pointing to S3. Okay, got it. That's good. So now S1 contains Raghu, but S3 contains caps Raghu. So it is different. Now what is the output? S1 dot equals S6. Same. Okay. Now the next question is, observe carefully. What is the output for line number 20? False. Very good. So I just want you to understand the difference here. 20, I'm comparing the addresses, but line number 26, I'm comparing the values inside those addresses. So address 2000 and address 5000 might be different, but the values present in them are same. So for 20, the output would be false, but for 26, the output would be same value. See here, false and same value. Now what is the output? S7 compared to S6. Okay, the output would be the same value. Good, very good. Okay, so yeah, equal to is a comparison operator. Okay, so if I want to check two things, like if both are equal or not, then I use an equal to operator and check if both are equal or not. So in the concept of strings, I can check if everything is pointing to the same memory location or not. In the concept of primitive data types, understand here, string is not a primitive data type. That is the reason why it is comparing the actual addresses. But if I take the same example and explain something like this, int x equal to 5 and int y equal to 5. Never ever consider that if I write the same statement here, don't think that it is comparing the addresses here. It will be comparing the actual values. Why? Because this is a primitive data type comparison at line number 35. At line number 20, it is the object comparison. So now at line number 35, if I execute, what will be the output, team, for line number 35? True or false? See, the output would be true, which means at line number 35, it is actually comparing the values because they are primitive data type comparisons. But if it is like an object comparison that I'm trying to do, it compares the addresses. Okay, so this concept we will explore more when we try to understand the concept of objects and all. Okay, so but is this clear till this point to everyone? Okay, that's good. Now let me go into this equals method and explain something here, and also something related to string. So what is a string? String is a pre-defined class in Java. So every time I recommend every one of you to attach the source code to your Eclipse and just try to debug or try to go into the predefined classes and understand those classes. So what I want everyone to do is, like, if you once you write this statement, press Control. Okay, keep pressing Control and then hover your mouse on this class string. If you leave Control, it will just go off the hand symbol. But just press Control and hover your mouse on this string class and click on it. Once you click on it, it shows like this is a class which is given by the Java, or these are predefined classes given by the Java. Okay, so you can go into these methods and you can go into these classes and you can explore like what are the methods that are being given here, and Control O is a shortcut where you can use that and you can say eq equals. See here, this is the method that we are trying to call. Okay, so what I want to explain here is dot equals is a method in the string class. So when I say S7, what is S7? S7 is a reference variable of type string. So I say S7 dot. When I say dot and do control space, I get lot of methods which are present in the string class, like is empty, ends with, content equals, or contains, or equals, or e equals ignore case. Ignore case means it will not ignore. It will come. It will, if you do the comparison for S2 and S3, it will say both are equal, ignoring the case sensitivity. Okay, starts with, ends with, like that. There are many utility methods which are present in the string class. So whatever we are using is nothing but an equals, which is a public method which is expecting an object as input. Maybe just we'll just park this equals method explanation for later classes. Why? Because you might get confused what is this object and all. Okay, but for time being, just understand that dot equals is a method which is expecting one more string object, and it compares both string objects. Okay, so what you can do is, like, you can play around with some of the other methods which are present in the string class, do some examples, and get some understanding out of it, like what are those uh, variables and all these things. Clear? Okay, any doubts, any questions, team, before we wind up for the day? Okay, so let me give you some homework here. So in today's class, we understood the two most important things in Java. One is how to create a method, and how to call a method. And uh, if you see the use of method calling throughout your coding career, like if you want to go ahead and start your career in Java, and if you want to go code in real-time projects, all you do is you create classes, you create methods, and you call a method of one class from another class. That is the whole concept that you do in entire Java. So I would like every one of you to practice this homework, like method creation, and it's something like create a class, create methods in it, and try to call those methods from a different class. Okay, that is the first thing. And try to call the methods from the same class also. Okay, so I hope like most of you are clear with this. Like yesterday, what I did, the first thing is, in the student class, I wrote a main method and created a student object in the same class, and I'm trying to call the property set some values. The same way, create a class called student, write some methods, two methods, create a main method, create an object for student, and call those two methods from the current class, and go ahead and create a demo class. In that demo class, again create a method for, sorry, create an object for student and call the two methods. So my intention is to make sure that you can create methods both in the current class and in outside class, and you should be familiar with creating the objects and calling the methods from anywhere. That's the first thing. And the second scenario is, when you're creating a method, make sure that you can use different options. When I say different options, make sure that you can create a method, one with a void return type, the other one with a double return type, the other one with string, or you know 8 primitive data types like int, float, double, char, short, bool, like that. So you can write methods which can return back any primitive data type, or you can write a method which can return back a string, or you can write a method which can return back void, which means you can create 10 types of methods, okay, with the 10 different return types. And always remember, if you write void, you will not write a return statement. But if you write anything apart from void, like if you write double or if you write string, then the return statement is mandatory in those methods. So just make sure that you do something like method declaration with different arguments. Try that option also, with different return types and with different arguments. Try all these scenarios for method declaration, then call those methods. Okay, method declaration and method call. That is one example. Okay, and the next one is try to create a different class where you can create strings, where I say like string s1, s2, s3, s4, all these things. Okay, like this, and try to understand comparing the strings, like assign some values, try to change the values, and try to compare them and see whether s1 and s6 will be same or s1 and s5 will be same or not. All these scenarios. Okay, I want you to check. And yeah, just a second thing. Yeah, for sure. I'm just recording all these things, so maybe you can always hear back from the recording, like whatever you have missed here. Okay. And before I end this, maybe just a simple question that I want to ask here. In the same example, I want to modify s1 equal to ram. Okay. No, one second. S1 dot equals. What is the output for line number 26? Everyone. Okay, it is same value, well and good. Now see the scenario which I'm trying to write here. I say s1 equal to ram. What will be the output for line number 26? Different value, different value. Yeah, it's not false, it's different value. Okay, good. So this might answer one of your previous questions. Someone, I think Sai or someone might is asking like, can S1 will have both values at same time or not? So from line number 9 till line number 13, till line number 13 is executed, the value of S1 will be Raghu. But after line number 13 has executed, the value of S1 will no longer point to Raghu. It will point to Ram now onwards. So from line number 13 onwards, S1 will be pointing to Ram. That is the reason why now if I go ahead and execute this one, S1 dot equals S6 will return false for me. Why? Ram is not equal to Raghu. Okay. Just want to explain the scenario. That's all from my end actually. Yeah, go ahead, Sai, with your question.
Yes, Raghu. Now after the line 16, if I again I give a statement like S1 equal to Raghu, so will that point to 5,000 or 2,000?
Okay, so will it point to 5,000 or 2,000? So S1 equal to Raghu.
Yes.
Is it a string literal or not?
It is not asking any new address, right? So
So the first thing is, since it is
will
a
that go
string,
will that point?
yeah, since it is a string literal, the concept of 5,000 and 6,000 will never come into picture. That is the first answer. The second answer is Raghu present in the string pool or not?
It doesn't.
It's present in the string pool. So since it is present in the string pool, why? Because S2 is pointing, okay, right? So now let us assume that I will explain more on that a little bit more. So let us assume that this is some 8,000 memory location, okay? So at line number 13, S1 is pointing to 8,000. Now at line number 17, what will S1 point to?
2,000.
2000, okay, well and good. So it went back to the same location. Now understand this concept. It will not always go there. Now I say S1 equal to Ram again, I will say. or S2 equal to RAM, anything, S3 equal to RAM, or S4 equal to RAM, anything, something like this or S1 equal to RAM I am saying. So will it go back to 8000 or will it go back to some new location?
Yeah, I got you, but my question is, when I
Yeah, go ahead.
look, yeah. My question is, at 17, as there is two present string, it is present for two times, right? In the location of 2000 and in the location of 5000. So why can't it prefer 5000 as it is also present in a string pool? Should check whether it is a new or not.
Okay. So remember one concept, string S1 till S5, whatever we saw, these are only considered as string literals. When I talk about string literal, then only string pool concept comes into picture. I'm not sure if everyone understood this concept or not. See, whatever boundary that I have drawn here, like this is the boundary, right? This is only string pool. The rest outside part is not string pool. So S6, S7,
Okay,
S8,
okay.
they are outside the string pool boundary. So S1 will never ever point to 5000, even though you see Raghu here. I hope maybe it might be a little bit more clear now.
Yes.
Okay? Yeah,
Yes, I got it.
yeah, awesome. That's good thing. So that's what I expected. Even if it is a simple doubt or even if it's way too difficult, never ever think that asking some question might be something wrong in the class. I want every one of you to be more clear on the concept than means. See, learning Java and understanding Java would be very damn easy. Okay, but if you don't understand the concept, then it could be very difficult for you. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so I'm just stopping the recording.